Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another super boring commentaries. Here we have on the blue team in honor an Ohhhh, a Hades, a Bacchus with some nice sunglasses, and a Wukong with his Super Goku skin. On the opposite side of the map, we've got a Hebo, we've got an Ares, we've got a Hercules, we've got a Thor, and we've got an Odin. Super tanky team, except for, of course, the Hebo. Tanky doesn't always mean victory, but we will soon see just what exactly they have in mind with what their team comp is going to do. This team, when it comes to damage, is going to be fucking intense. Ohhhh has big burst, Honor has big burst, Bacchus has big burst, Hades has some burst, and his ultimate will provide some good sustained magic damage. Wukong, big burst with some good sustained damage of the physical variety when he's using his auto attacks. This shit's gonna get crazy, and it's gonna get fast, and it's gonna get crazy at the same time, because you know what they're doing? They're scouting. They're looking out for the enemy team. They must have gotten ganked in an earlier game or something, but they're checking it out, checking out the area, checking for any kind of harassment from the enemy. However, the blue team seems pretty content with being in blue base, hanging out, looking around, seeing what their teeth look like. It looks like it's a 5v5 here, like the actual teams going out here. We got Team Chero mid and Befire team. Never heard of either of them, so we'll see if I should look up more information on who they are and what they do in this game. We're going to see the movement speed buff going to... Did that go to the Bacchus? No, it went to Honor. Okay. For a second it looked like the Bacchus hit it for the last hit. And... attack buff. Interesting that the attack buff would be gotten first. Very interesting. Run around with an attack buff on that Hebo. He's gonna be some painful harass. What is this Ohhhh doing? Ohhhh, for some reason ran around the Herc, even though he's a ranged attacker. Should be an interesting lane, that mid lane. Already, Ares is almost at half of his HP gone. Big harassment from Wukong Hades. Like they're just a very aggressive lane. Like you have to be. The further in you get, and what's great with Hades with a melee god is that Hades' heal only works if you're nearby him when he uses it. So he can really take advantage of that heal as a Wukong. Oh wow, that Ares is just not having any luck with the bounces. Nothing really going on in mid. Herc is just pushing like a madman. Hebo with 2 buffs. Get ready to do himself some damage. There's no doubt about it. Hebo getting some harassment starting. Bacchus initiation. But there's really nothing he could do with it. In the meantime, Herc is feeling pretty comfortable in mid right now, I would assume. It's obvious that Ohhhh isn't really landing much of his harass, and even if he is, Herc can just heal it right off with his 3. Nope, nothing going on over there. Hercules still pushing his lane. There might be a fight in there. We're going to keep an eye on the map for that. Nothing going on over here. So we'll go back to mid and check him out. It's pretty interesting to see Herc doing so well against an Ohhhh. But Ohhhh doesn't really have to do well as a push, because he can always push it back with that Squall ability. Plus his 1 doing some good burst to the minions. Uh-oh, that's a fight. That's a fight. There's some fighting going on over here. Hades coming in. He's not level 5 though. They're definitely trying to take advantage of that. A level 5 Hades though, you don't want to go in on at any time. Very scary Hades at level 5. He has big damage with that ultimate, and he can kill almost anyone in the game, especially as soon as they're level 5. Like, that's when he's really the most dangerous. When you don't have any real protection against magic, and he goes in, uh-oh. He's not level 5 yet. Oh, that must be frustrating. Well, the first one to get to level 5, as always, is the solo lane. And on the red team, they're doing pretty well with levels. They aren't pulling ahead by much, but they are doing pretty well. They're pretty much like the same. Pretty much. Now they're starting to fall behind, but only by one level. Not really a big deal. Looks like there's a fight in right lane. And right when I get here, Odin says, not interested in fighting. And then there's a fight in mid. Oh, he missed his ult! Herc didn't miss his, though. Not enough to kill him, but that was close. Ao Kuang. He's getting dangerously close to being killed at this moment. I would probably start thinking about maybe throwing down a squall and then going back. Because Herc will turret dive you. Especially at level 7. He's perfectly capable of a good turret dive. Oh, good squall. Alright, now go back. Get out of there. He's got to get out of there. Ao Kuang, just get out of there, bro. You have a B button. Just hit it. You'll be back in time. Well, now he's not going to be back in time. He's waited a little too long. But he's healing a bunch. Still has some health potions. Not sure if these guys are going. Yeah, they're going for the buff. I was going to say, I don't know why they're coming over. They're not going to be ganking anybody. And at the same time as them leaving, these guys are going to farm for another buff. It's always good when you get a break in the action to try to farm the neutral creeps. You don't necessarily have to get a buff, so to say. It's always a good idea to try to get buffs. But farming the neutral creeps, like these guys back here, these guys over here, or these guys all the way down here, or these guys even further down over here, are always a good choice if you don't have enough HP for a buff, or if you feel that you don't need the extra buffs. Personally, I always try to go for the mana buff, because you can never have enough mana in this game, ever. And I hate going meditation, because I feel like you're missing out on so much if you get meditation as one of your active abilities. Speaking of active abilities, you may be familiar with active abilities called summoner spells if you play League of Legends. In this game, you buy them. They're 250 gold, and you activate them in their two little slots there. There's a lot of Aegises on the blue team to, I guess it's to counteract the Ares and Odin ultimates. And if Odin uses his ultimate, you can just hit your Aegis, and then you just sit there and he does nothing. He can just kind of run around you and swing at you and do nothing that entire time. So it's nice. The downside is they're going to have to pick, because if this red team knows what they're doing, they're going to have probably Odin go in and use his ultimate around them, hopefully trapping his team inside of his ultimate with the enemy team there, forcing the Aegis from all of them, and then whoever pops their Aegis in that initial fight will get ulted by the Ares, and then Ares will CC them hard with his ultimate and reposition them so that they're all nice and close, and then Herc can throw a boulder at them and hit all of them for big damage. And if Thor hasn't used his ultimate yet in the initial fight, he can wait until the Ares pops his stun and then just slam onto all of them, doing big damage. That would be huge burst if they pulled that off, by the way. That would easily do over 1,000 damage. Easily. To everyone, though. It won't kill everybody. It'll probably get people really close to death, which will make them very easy to pick off one by one with the remaining cooldowns and the sustained damage. Even Ares' chains and fire damage will do a significant number to the enemy. Looks like there's a fight going on in left lane, but no, there's not. Just looks like it because of the size of the circles. Everyone's playing pretty passive this game. It's going to probably be a farm game. That's a shame. I like to see more ganks. Odin might be coming over for a gank as soon as I mentioned that I'd rather see more ganks. But I'm not sure. Nope. Odin's just coming to cover the lane. Herc going, you know what? I want a little bit more last hits before I go back. Good idea. Odin's gonna hit the tower a few times. Really nice of him to show up in the lane to do that for the Herc. Odin pretty dangerous for turrets because of his shout. It provides the minions with more attack speed. and minions with higher attack speed are scary. Looks like there's a death right there. Thor has two really big damage moves. His one, he throws out his hammer and it hits you once and then it'll come back. He can also teleport with that hammer when he throws it, if he presses the button again after he throws it the initial time. And when he does that, he can then use his 3, which is that spinning move. The damage of those two things hitting you is ridiculous. The amount of burst that Thor is capable of, as well as he has great escapes. The spin removes any kind of slows that are applied to you, so you can wait until someone tries to slow you and then spin around. The downside is if you spin a little too early, if they stun you or knock you up or anything that CCs you at all, that isn't like a slow, anything that stops your movement will stop the spin, and you'll lose a lot of damage from not spinning. That would have been really good if he got hit by the Herc there. Because of the placement of that squall, he could have easily hidden inside of it and called it a day. They're going for a buff. I don't know, this guy's team, they're just not ganking. I feel like they should be ganking more. I feel like there should be way more ganks coming from the blue team, and there's just none. There's literally none. Herc is going for the buff. And little do they know, but coming from mid lane are Odin and Hebo. Herc throws in his ult to support their damage, and I mean Odin's ult plus Herc's ult, and Herc's ult is just, he bounces around inside of there, hits you 2 to 3 times, and that's an easy 500 to 700 damage with a level 1 ult. With a max level ult and some good build, that's easily over 1,000 damage. Getting hit by that 3 times, even 2 times, hurts anyone, even tanks. However, it looks like the blue team won that exchange. Hebo getting picked off by the Bacchus, who came in a little late. Hades came in there, decided to ultimate kill off somebody. That's a good idea on the Hades part. Meanwhile, all that was happening, the Honor was pushing his lane, got the turret down to half of its health. That's going to be pivotal if they decide to get pushed in that lane. They're going to have to be a little bit more defensive and get that lane pushed back. They can't just let the enemy push it now, because that turret is not much longer left in this world have time. It's just not going to be fun. Not going to be fun to fight underneath the turret that weak. However, no turrets seem to have been destroyed yet. If I was to bet on a turret to be destroyed, it'll probably be the right lane. But we'll see. We will see. Nothing going on at the moment. Looked like there might have been an attempt to gank mid by the Odin, but oh wait, no, they definitely have turret dive on the mind right now. Ares going in, gonna use his ult. Nope, doesn't get close enough. Why would he back there? I don't. Whatever. I guess he's decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna buy an item, I hope. Finish his boots, getting some wards. Always good to grab some wards whenever you can. Hebo getting pretty low, but he didn't die. Oh man, they must have jumped on him like you wouldn't believe, but they just couldn't burst him down fast enough, which is not good. They really should have the damage to do that at this point in the game, but Hebo showing his tanky side, I guess you could say. I guess that Vampiric Shroud kind of helped him. Maybe he hit some minions or something in the process of running away. When you have a Vampiric Shroud, it gives you some extra damage and magic, and when you kill enemies, you get 10 HP and MP, I believe. Hold on, let's check if it's both. Yep, 10 HP and MP. I was right. Helps with sustain. if you're good at last hitting. If you can kill enough of the creeps, you can use skills to do it. Especially if you're He-Bo. I mean, you only have to kill 3 creeps with your 2 to have your mana completely refunded, so he's very, very good at staying in lane and never running out of mana. Can't say the same about this Ao Kuang, who's almost out of mana already. In the meantime, Hercules is getting a Void Blade. Void Blade very effective on any kind of AD carry. Even the Thor is getting it on his team, who is a much squishier guy. It's not just for tanks, folks. It's a great weapon. It gives you good damage, and most of all, the best kind of penetration. It lowers the actual physical defense of people that are too close to you. And if you're a melee, you're going to be close to your enemy, aren't you? Something pissed off my dog. He's a little tiny Chihuahua slash Pomeranian mix. I guess that my family's back home. They got some food at the dinner place. That's a fun time. Either that or maybe someone's delivering a package. It could be anything. This ward right here, not good news for the red team. See these wards? Look at these wards. They may not be doing so hot. They aren't doing bad. They don't seem to be winning these team fights as often as I'd want them to, but look at these wards. They're all over the place. They have nice vision. They're good polka dots on the map. Red team only has 1 ward on this side of the map, and their other ward is all the way up here. Yeah. I like the spread on the blue wards better. Oh, they just lost one. Alright, now I like the red wards better. Very interesting, like, how red put it over here, and blue put it over here. Blue really wants to cover this buff for some reason. They don't want the red team to grab a Gold Fury. Definitely do not want that. They are close in gold, and a Gold Fury will put you ahead by 2,000, I do believe. So you want to try to control that if you can. Just like in League of Legends, where you want to try to control Dragon early on. You want to try to control that Gold Fury as early as you can. And right now, blue team has the most vision when it comes to that. However, He-Bo heading out, getting ready to harass, trying to hit people with his move that costs absolutely no mana. He's got the mana buff, so he's got plenty of mana regen, and he's ready to tank anything that Bacchus has thrown at him. The He-Bo is actually pretty tanky. Like, he's got a lot of HP right now. Pretty interesting. He has a lot of effective HP too, because he has a lot of mana potions that he's popping. Looks like maybe they went for a buff real quick. Ao Kuang heading over from middle, but they aren't getting the pincer, so I don't know what they were actually planning there. Speaking of pincers, Hercules was looking like he might have been thinking of throwing his ult into them, but that didn't happen. Looks like there's a fight going on in left lane. Gonna head over there right now. There's lots of damage coming out of this Thor and the Wukong at the same time. Wukong saving himself with his ultimate while he jumps away. Hades trying to go in for the kill, but just a little bit too slow. The Thor using his teleport that I was talking about earlier, where he throws his hammer and then he catches it, teleporting to where it was at the time. You can use that to chase, you can use that to run. It goes through walls, it goes through towers, it goes through anything. It's a very powerful escape, and it's a great harass. You saw how much it chunked that fucking Hades. He's not even that built. All he has is maybe like 50 damage. Let's see. He's got 30 plus, oh, he's got 60 extra physical power. And that's how much it chunked that Hades. Who has a sovereignty, so he has some defenses. Only has 25, but sovereignty is pretty reliable. It'll give all of your allies some magic and physical defense. It can counteract people using Void Blades, Void Stones that have the thing that gets rid of some of your defenses. The sovereignty basically counteracts that. It's a great item to get on tanks or supports because 1, it makes your carry harder to kill, so that's always good, and 2, it makes your team harder to kill. So you always win. It looks like Odin might be moving in to try to help here. I don't see a gank coming unless this Hercules over here has something different in mind. He's definitely posturing like he does, but then he doesn't go in. Guess he thought twice about it. Ao Kuang keeping an eye on the situation right now. Him standing there gave his allies vision of what was going on. Hercules didn't know that this was going to happen to him, but he did understand that there was probably going to be people coming mid, and he kept running back. Sometimes you just have to assume that there's people behind you. I know it may seem paranoid and stuff, but it's better to predict it and be safe than to be, fuck, I didn't expect that. Oh, man. So there's nothing really going on in mid anymore. They look like they're going to try to push up to Herc, but Herc is just going to push it back. Especially if he has his ultimate off cooldown. He might even try to hit them with it. Nope. We're just going to last hit some minions. Really exciting game right there. Whole lot going on. But the few fights that did happen were very far and in between, and that's nice because it's easy for me to get to them on this blind commentary that I'm doing. That's right, I've never seen this video before. And by video I mean demo. Nice Aegis. Dodging all of the damage from that Honor because Honor missed his initial burst, so he didn't even get 1 or 2 hits in beforehand. As soon as the Aegis was up was when the Honor fixed his aim. You know, you'd think that there's some kind of like display or something, like an arrow that shows you what direction your attacks are going to be going or something like that, but I guess that doesn't exist in this game. But I'm just busting his chops. He obviously was caught up in the moment and was having a hard time getting his cursor where he needed it because he was having, you know, an adrenaline rush. Hitting those purification beads to get out of the ultimate. How you have to remember that your purification beads do not stop damage. If your HP is already low, just save them. Alright? If you know you're gonna die, don't pop the purification beads. If you think you can survive, feel free to pop them, but remember that they do not stop ability damage. The Aegis stops all damage. Purification beads just stop the CC. They can't stun you, they can't stop you, they can't slow you, they can't knock you up, they can't do anything. Except hurt you. So remember that. If your HP is pretty low and you're trying to run away and you know that they have abilities off cooldown and they're going to use them to kill you, don't hit the purification beads. However, if you think you can survive their dash or whatever they're going to use to try to close the distance long enough for you to try to get away, feel free to pop them, because that could be the difference between you getting away or not. Because if their dash doesn't slow you and you keep running and then you jump away, now they're even further back and they have no way to close the distance. So it's really up to your judgment. You got to go by feel, but I feel that most of the time when your HP is low, it's just better to save your purification beads for a better time, like when you want to initiate a fight or if you want to try to get a kill and you're afraid that they're going to turn around and stun you. Works very well against people like Thor, for example. Thor, who likes to use his stun last second. It's bad enough to get stunned by it, but you can also get blocked by it. It looks like the blue team is taking the initiative in 4v1ing this Gold Fury. I'm not sure if Thor's going to be able to steal this, but none of them are coming to stop him. He didn't steal it. But he was there. He was there to see it. Bacchus getting taken out in his lane. That's a shame. Odin, just so much damage on an Odin if he builds damage. Which he is. He has tank. He built tank at first, and now he's going damage, and Odin can do work as a DPS. Even if he's not a carry, even if he's not building carry, he can do work. It's just that simple. Once again, really nothing going on. The lane that had something going on was just kind of a push that ended with a kill. Hebo pushing, maybe? Going to push that lane. He sees the Honor pushing it back. Decided, I'm going to go harass him a little bit. On the other side of the world, Wukong getting ready to push his lane with his monkey. The monkey jumps from person to person. It will jump up to 5 times if I remember right. If you only have 2 targets, it will bounce on one 3 times and bounce on the other one twice. So try to hit the person that you want to kill with the monkey first, because then it's only going to bounce off them 2 more times after that. So you definitely want to hit the person that you want to kill first with the monkey. Do not hit the person that's next to them. Obviously, if you don't have a choice, well, what are you going to do? You want to hit whoever you can. But always try to aim for the person who you want to kill with it, because it'll do more damage to that person. It's just that simple. Oh, Kwang. About to get ganked. No doubt about it. That is definitely going to be some good harass. How did that not CC him? Very interesting. That Hebo, whirlpool, or whatever that is, that he calls it, water pillar, I guess I could call it, should have knocked that Ao Kuang around or done some damage, but it seems to have done nothing. Hebo burst. Did you see that? It was just bang, bang, burst. There's the Hercules ult. I think it hit the Ao Kuang twice. It might have only hit him once. Ooh, big pull. That's a kill. That's called earning your kill. Bacchus, thinking that he might be able to buy him some time by stunning the enemy, actually ended up getting himself killed by the Herc, who tossed him back into his team and then destroyed him with a tackle. Wukong trying to make something happen, but just wasn't there fast enough. Which is a shame, because Wukong has a passive that allows him to run faster when out of combat, but just not fast enough. Wards. So many wards. Please pay attention to the amount of wards that are bought in these games, because that's like a minimum of what you should be buying when it comes to wards. I understand that you want to finish your build and whatnot, but if the enemy's buying wards and you're not, it doesn't matter how big your build is, you can't see them coming and you're gonna die. You could have a full build 2 seconds into the game because you never bought any of those wards ever, and that's all fine and good, but if you don't see the enemy coming and they gank the shit out of you, you're gonna be useless. Even with a full build against people with no items. If they gank you and you don't know what's happening, that's no fun. Like, you can't 5v1. You can't do that. Especially against people that are the same level as you or higher level. Look at the level of this fucking... This Thor. He's gonna be... Yep, he's level 20. Thor is the first one to reach level 20. He won the race. Hercules, almost there. Which is odd, because Hercules was mid. You'd think that he would be the highest level on the team. But Thor showing him how it's done and saying, I want to get to level 20 first. I don't even care if I was a side lane and this shouldn't be happening. I'm going to do it. Wukong and Ao Kuang are tied. I'm going to assume that Wukong has been farming the jungle a bit more than Ao Kuang has. Look at all that red. Look at all those red wards. That is beautiful. That's a beautiful sight. We might even see another ward. Let's see another one. Ares, give me another ward, baby. They don't know that Ares is in there. There's no wards, so the blue team is not going to capitalize by this Hades just sitting there, not seeing that Ares trying to get a buff. They could have capitalized on that. He is split off from his teammate. Could have ended well for the blue team. However, they're not really doing much right now. Looks like they might be posturing for another Gold Fury. Hey, who doesn't want another one? If they can get this one, they will have a very significant lead, to the point where even if the blue team gets a Gold Fury, they will not be able to match their gold. So they're leading the Gold Fury as far away from where the blue team is going to be as possible, so that they have to really extend to get anywhere close. Wukong trying to initiate with his ultimate. Honor throws down his slow, which also gives a damage buff to people that are caught in it. Hades uses his ultimate. I'm seeing stasis everywhere. Where's Ares? Where's Ares? Is he dead? He died. That's a shame. That is a one team fight for the blue team, and they're gonna rightfully take that Gold Fury as well, it looks like. Yep, that's definitely, they took the Gold Fury and the fight. Very nice. Good for them. Good for them. Blue team going, you know what? Let's not just stop there. Let's get the Fire Giant as well. More power to them. They are going to really be able to take advantage of this Fire Giant. They might even win off of this, depending on what's about to happen. Here comes the Odin. Odin seeing what's going on. So does Herc. Herc can throw in his boulder and really wreak some havoc on not only the players, but the buff itself. He's waiting for the right time to throw the boulder in. He's definitely going to throw something in there. You can tell. You can see it in his eye. Oh, that was a little late. A little late, boys. But it's really hard to tell, obviously. As far as I'm concerned, they should have just went right in and fought them while the buff was still up. They're a lot less likely to fight back, or they'll try to run away, and you can just stay near the buff. As long as you don't pull aggro from it, you can make that fight pretty annoying for the enemy team. This game is looking like it's winding down. Blue team grouping up underneath this turret. So much damage. Ares throwing down his stun. Look at all the damage that stun does. That was to the tank. That was a big chunk that he took out with that ult. And that's just one move. And that's the tank on the enemy team. Ares' ult is nothing to scoff at. You definitely do not want to take the damage from that if you can avoid it. Ares is pretty well built. He's got a mark and his Void Stone. So when he uses his ultimate and pulls it off, he's doing passive damage to you every second that you're sitting there near him. And you have lower magic resist. It's just not a fun time. Not a fun time to be against this Ares. Fortunately for the blue team, though, they have a pretty good advantage when it comes to kills, because those kills that put them above to 7 with late game kills, those make a much bigger difference than early game kills, especially ganks. Red Thor getting caught out. Don't want to get caught out, Thor. You're not a tank, Thor. You can't initiate, Thor. We see an ultimate from Hades, one initiation, and then Bacchus comes in and finishes the Ares off. Man, the Ares. Not a good day to be here. Ares. Oh yeah, this is the final push, man. This is it. This is the one. This is the run. This is the run, baby. Ooh, nice ult from the Herc. He hit 4 of them, it looked like. Yeah, he hit 4 of them. Impressive. Not enough for them to stop getting these turrets, but they may pay with their lives for their greediness for these turrets. Odin trapping him inside, but Kong says, dude, I gotta jump. I'm out. And so he got out. Just that simple. Just that simple. It's one of the big weaknesses of the Odin ult. Not only is it hard countered by an Aegis, but that's okay because he has other people that you want to counter with the Aegis much more than an Odin. But you could just jump out of it. So anyone with a leap is perfectly fine. Also, when you're in there, you're committing to taking some damage because there's nowhere to go. A lot of people have skill shots that do a lot of damage. It's a lot easier to hit them while you're inside of his ult, depending on how good you are at hitting people that are staying close to you. Yeah, the thing about that is, since you're inside of that small area, it's pretty easy to see which direction the enemy will be going, so it can almost make it easier for them to land those skill shots. Although he is immune to CC, he's not immune to damage. Red team was able to dodge a lot of that damage from the Hades, but Hebo not able to dodge enough damage. Wow, for someone who's tanky, this Ares is just getting murdered all day. Blue team playing very defensive and very well. They're keeping themselves safe, but they're still doing damage to the red team. That's a good balance. Always good to have your team with higher HP. still nothing. They're still just pushing at this point. There's no fights for me to speak about. The red team is trying to push back. It looks like they're going to take all the towers that they can. A wise choice. Every single tower that you kill actually makes the game easier to end. So it is, quite frankly, a good idea to get as many towers and phoenixes as possible. They don't want the red team to make any kind of comebacks, so they're trying to burst down this gold fury as quick as possible. They do not want anyone on the red team making any kind of leeway with gold, but this may cost them the fight. They're trying to fight it out. They're working it out. This blue team, even though they got initiated on and they were pretty low, they're all below half HP for the most part. And the red team has a big HP advantage. I think they might come out of this okay. Yep, the Bacchus is going to make it out of there. Nice purification beads by the Wukong. That's probably going to save his life. All he has to do is wait for the leap. Meanwhile, blue team's Phoenix minions have pushed the Phoenix immediately after it came back. Thor a little bit overcommitted. Very odd to see Thor committing that hard at this level of play. Generally, people at this level know when to quit, but that Thor, he got that tunnel vision, man. He got that newbie tunnel vision where you're like, I gotta get the kill, I gotta kill him. I can't let him live, his HP is so low, I got to kill him. There are very few gods in this game that is worth doing to. And by very few, I mean none. Even if they're using stacks, you should not chase them that far for any reason. And no one in this game is using stack items that are reset on death. They are using stack items like the Devourer's Gloves, for instance, and the Wizard's Sash, or Warlock's Sash. Warlock Sash. Those are stack items, but they stay whether you die or live, so killing anyone, not really going to impact their gameplay. So we only have about a minute left. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in this minute. It looks like the last team fight is going to happen in this minute. So whoever wins this team fight seems to win the game. It looks like the odds are in favor of the blue team to win. They are ahead right now. But it doesn't mean they are going to win. They could throw. They could throw it like a bad spear by Nidalee. Meanwhile, Minotaur, deciding to hit some minions, he is now at his weakest. He is now the easiest to kill. He could die to these minions. Yeah, they're just going to go in and get the Minotaur. That is a solid strategy. Sometimes it's better to try to fight the enemy team and then take the Minotaur. But in that case, they killed all the turrets. Minotaur is at the weakest point. When you don't have all the turrets, you have to kill the enemy team. The enemy team can be a big obstacle in trying to kill the Minotaur. But they went in and they burst the Minotaur down. It's just that simple. Who had a pretty good game in this one? Everybody had pretty average scores, pretty low scores, not a very high scoring game. It wasn't, running around killing people every 2 fucking seconds, which is nice. You could see a lot of how people were farming and how they went between their lane and the jungle. It's good to try to balance between the two so that you have a lot of gold. Lots of gold is lots of items. Lots of items is lots of victories. Undefined victory. Backfire defeat. I've never seen those things before. I guess it's because they killed the Minotaur. I'm not sure. Whatever. But you can look at the gold per second. Everybody on the blue team was over 300 gold per second. They were doing amazing with their farming. When it came to the total gold earned, everybody was in the 10,000s except for the 2 tanks on the red team, which is a shame. Because if you fall behind as a tank, which they both did, you're going to have a hard time in the game. It's just that simple. So I hope you guys maybe learned a little bit about farming technique and you looked at how the initiation worked. Nobody who had an ultimate that could be ageist was using it at the same time. They waited. One went in and initiated. It was usually the Hades. He would go in and initiate, then Bacchus would go in. Always have the tanks go in first. If you're not a tank, don't go in. Just wait. Wait for the tank to go in. If the tank's not going in, then bait him in. Make him go in. Pretend that If he doesn't go in, it's the end of the game. And he'll bait himself in. You just gotta find the thing that baits him to go in, and then just do that to make the tank go in, and then actually attack. And sometimes tanks just won't go in, and if that's the case, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna be able to do much without a tank in a fight. So the only person who was healing for the blue team was Hades, because he has a heal. If he hits you with his passive ability that applies a effect that does some damage over time, he can then hit his 3, and then it provides a heal to himself and anyone in a small area around him. It is almost game breaking sometimes, because what that can do in the middle of a team fight is take people's HP, and he can heal sometimes even half depending on how much stuff is in the area. So always keep that in mind. The more built a Hades is, the higher that heal becomes, and that 3000 damage can be the difference between getting lots of kills and getting killed a lot. It's just always want to keep in mind who you want to go in first. On the red team, they were at a disadvantage. You know, you got Odin, who could have initiated, but he just wasn't tanky enough. Their Ares wasn't even close to tanky enough. So they had no initiation, and they had no way to stay in the fight because their tanks were getting burst down and killed, especially since they were focusing the Ares. Ares had big damage, but he just couldn't survive the fights. So until our next commentary, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.